Okay. Those four of you who have joined for the first time, Shreya Goswami, Bismita Bora, Afrida, and Bidisa, and Punam. You four or five of you have joined today. So tell me your idea about political communication. I have been taking lectures from January last, February first week, and you have bothered to come and join the first class today. So you tell me the reason of your long duration of absence from the class.
Internship till Feb. I came back on March 1st.
I was not being informed. I was not being informed about this. You were in internship. You could have put up a message in the group also, right? Because I used to do a class with four or five of you. So that cannot be an excuse. We were in internship. We five of us are in internship. We didn't know anything.
I informed HOD sir.
But but I'm not being informed. Okay, you tell me your idea about political communication. I used to post lectures and even the materials in the classroom. You give me some idea about it. Do you know what is happening in this class? The kind of topic that we have discussed and deliberated upon. Do you have any idea? If you have some idea, it's pretty fine. I'll go ahead with it. At least tell me that, yeah, we are busy in internship, but we are also trying to follow your lectures because it is already being posted and something we have gained even from our classmates or so. So prior to exams, you have shown your face. Is this a kind of decorum? This is not likely. Okay, I will only take half an hour class because half of the time it is already wasted discussing things we do. I'll discuss with political campaign, which we have already started, about political campaign, how campaign is being formulated, about political speech, what are the rules of making a credible speech for a politician, because that is what you are supposed to do. You might also end up being a political analyst, being a campaign strategist. You might end up being a political journalist. So you need to know how to even strategize a campaign and how to write a speech for politicians, political leaders. So in last two or three classes, we have been discussing about political campaign, and in political campaign, we also include how to make a message, political message, how you will frame a message. So it is not simply about knowing the campaign, what campaign is, and how you will strategize the campaign. First, we will start with the message, right? So we'll start with the message. How will you make a message? And for messaging, what should be your concern? We say you need to know the target audiences and how to divide the target audiences, about which we have discussed in the class, about demographic and geographic divide, about age, about other specification, age, income, educations, about their occupations, about cultural and economic background, about the problem, real-time problems that you were supposed to study. So this political campaign is different from and consumption related product based campaign. So it is you can also say it can be equated, but as product is the party or a politician himself. So when you make the campaign, you need to understand the whole scenario about the voters attributes, about the population attributes, their characteristics, how they think, how they feel, and problems are numerous, so it is not that easy. So it is not about identifying only the consumption needs. Okay, it is also identifying the problem of a nation, problem of a state, problem of that locality. And you need to keep track of the discourse, political discourse of the time. So, discourse, when you talk about a discourse, it is all about, you see, it is all about how political messages are being circulated through different channels and different actors. So discourse is not that easy concept. So campaign we also need to know about the overall political discourse. So discourse basically shaped by people only, their problem, and how it is circulated, which platform it is circulated, whether it is through face to face or one to one communication, whether it is also circulated in social media, in Twitter, in Facebook, and different other platforms, and it is also represented in televisions and through talk shows, TV shows, radio talks. So discourse can be formed. The channel which is being used to circulate any kind of political discussions based on the seriousness and gravity of the issues. Okay, so in campaign, you also need to understand the prevalent discourse. That means the local scenarios, the national scenarios, regional scenarios, international scenarios, because uh, discourse is influenced by that local actors, local problem, need, challenges, regional problem, needs, national problem, needs, challenges. So it is difficult to frame a political campaign than a campaign for a product or even a developmental campaign, because you have to understand and study and analyze every minute detail to become a successful political campaign strategist. Okay, so you need to have interest for politics, you need to have interest to make a political opinion, you need to have interest in understanding the party political ideologies, not one party political ideologies, diverse party political ideologies, what they are doing over the years, what they are doing, how they are looking at a problem, what are their goals, how they are achieving the reality, how they have executed plan of actions and program line. Okay, so you are supposed to keep track of political ideologies, political manifestos, local problems, and you need to create a symbiosis and balance and equilibrium of the community needs and the local needs, and also the party manifestos, party strategies of execution of the local needs and local challenges. So that is important, and hence it is not something which can be done in a class. Okay, so you have to continuously develop interest for politics, and it is not simply considering writing a political piece. It is not limited to writing a political piece or writing a news article, writing a, you see or even you study only one speech of a politician. But when you study political speech, that is also very difficult. So it is much more than. You need to study the whole power dynamics, you need to study the constitutionalities, you need to study the ideologies, you need to know that. So it's you cannot bifurcate politics from communication. So we are amalgamating both this term, political communication. So when you are talking of agenda, from communication angle, we know agendas. Maybe one or two example may suffice what is agenda setting. But on everyday basis, how political leaders and politicians are setting agendas and how those agendas are different from propaganda is different is difficult to understand. But it will be easier for you if you consistently develop interest and you consistently study the political scenario. Okay, and being a participant of this political culture. So we have also discussed about participant political culture. You go through the videos, you study some texts which are being given in the class, where you will get to find how we can make ourselves participant political culture, taking part in political discourse, taking part in political debate discussions. Okay, Not necessarily that we have to take part in political campaign or even write in a political articles. Okay, so you can have different level of exposure to politics, and based on that we can also categorize you whether you are at spectatorial level, gladiatorial level, or at a you see transitorial level. So that we have discussed, huh? So you study. So in campaign we have discussed about the message, how message is being formulated. So we all know that message has to be very short and contrasting message. When you actually see that there are certain political theme or issues and challenges around which the message is being framed, like message around development, message around, you see, security, message around identity. So each message has a different rhetoric involved. And about rhetoric, I have discussed. Rhetoric is not about talk, it is about prompting someone for action. And rhetoric is there in political speech also. Now you see how things are interconnected. Okay, so in campaign, we also talk about rhetoric. When we speak about a message, we talk about making a message. We deliberate on how we will frame a message. Here we also discuss about the importance of rhetoric. Rhetoric is ability to speak, ability to argue, and also uh, ability to make anyone or compel anyone to take some action. So it involves that persuasive essence. In rhetoric, it involves the persuasive essence. In message also, it involves rhetoric. Message involves rhetoric. So rhetorics will be involved how the persuasive element of the message. So there are some political tools and techniques which we will be using to make a message. So when you talk about a message, first, the very simple understanding of making a political message is that it has to be simple, it has to be short, it has to be contrasting. So we cannot have two different like agendas in one single message. You can have one agenda in one message. If it message is on development, it has to be on development. You talk about a because that is related to rhetoric of logos. Logos rhetoric is related to rationality. Okay, so in rhetoric, we have these three typologies: ethos, logos, and pathos. So in logos, we have that logical version of a man, that rational version of a man, when you actually put forward arguments, your logic, your facts, statistics, to build up any argument, to express yourself, okay, to articulate, to assert a claim. So here, in because we can actually try to identify the logos element. Because development, if message on development can be identified with that logos element, that you need to provide what facts and figures, what kind of development you are talking of. If you are talking of growth, GDP, you need to give facts figure, that is increase of GDPs, kind of development, that delivery. We say that is also, you see, the material result, we say. So we see this delivery of governance and delivery of even development. We see the flyovers around, okay, and that is a kind of material result of development. We could also see the schemes, Arunodaya schemes, that may be a result of development. You might say, you might also say, message could be like that. This is the schemes we have brought it. We have provided 10,000 to people to make women lakpati and all. So okay, this is something which is related to development and also material aspect of the logos, or you see, the rhetoric. So, political campaign involves rhetoric first. When you formulate a message, so message will see the kind of technique that you have used. And technique, when you say technique may be logos, pathos, ethos. Then we also have repetition, anaphora, antithesis. So we have certain technique which we can use. And this technique, you might also say, people say it is process actually, how you process the message. Okay, and each message has a focus, whether they focus on reality, they focus on action, they focus on authority, focus on identity, focus on relationship. So each message has a type of focus, and then how what will be the outcome, how what will be the exact message is also important. Suppose the message, when you talk about the message, there is a message process. The process of the message is logos. Okay, logos basically focus on argument, right? Arguments and facts and figures, even the experience. Okay, so something which can be quantifiable. Okay, your experience also, one, two, three experiences which can be quantifiable, facts, figures, statistics which can be quantifiable. Objectively, you can measure it. That is a logos. Rationality, you can equate with cause and effects relationship, so which you can equate. That is a man. Pathos. Pathos, as I have already told you, this is related to pathos, and pathos is also there. Okay, pathos. What is pathos? Pathos is about the message credibility itself, and it is emotions. It is about the emotions. So, if this is the process type and this is the focus, if pathos is related to emotion, message has to appeal to the emotions of the people. What kind of emotion? It has to appeal to the hope of the people. It has to appeal to the fear of the people. It has to appeal to the anger. It has to appeal to the justice that they are looking for. So any kind of message which you see you frame or you make has to be consistent with the belief system values of the candidate. So candidate, sorry, electorate. Okay, so if people and population will believe in justice, so message has to be consistent with the justice. So and also their emotions, when we say their emotions, fear, that hope, anger, love, joy, happiness. So any kind of message will trigger their emotions. We have some technique, political tool and technique. We say that patriotism, feminism, these are also tool technique. This is not process type, but we can use like that feminist or patriarchal notions to make a message, to make a leader, a women leader more feminine or familial type, or relating her personal story with her progress, with her rise through the politics over the years. So that is a kind of feminist frame. We can also have a frame. It is all about framing. So overall, in campaign messaging, what we can find is how you frame issues. And in framing, there are so many elements to discuss. Okay, so about the process type, about the focus, so and also about the tool. Normally that tool may be a simple political tool or the technique, political tool or technique, which are equivalent to all kinds of campaign. So you have also product campaign, huh? So any kind of developmental campaign, so you actually use the same tool. Patriarchal values you trigger, feminist values you trigger, you just folk attitude you trigger, right? You also trigger this. You use the sound, you use animation, you use cartoon, all trigger, all are being used to trigger the emotions. Emotion, you actually emotion trigger the emotion of the people. You trigger their hope, trigger their fear, trigger their integrity, trigger their justice, the looking for justice, their even unity, their expectations for unity and integrity. So everything you trigger. Then ethos, that is also another protest, that is also process type. So ethos is related to that credibility. This is related to personal experience. Also, you actually see that many a time we say common man attitude is there. Most of the politicians will try to harbor on the common man attitude. Okay, chai bala attitude is also there. Now you see voice of the common people. Rahul Gandhi, he is also having that common man attitude. So it is based on experience. It cannot be framed in a day. Okay, we talk about even the anti-corruption reformer. That is another message. Anti-corruption reformer, that is aligned to ethos. When you talk about the identity, suppose Jati Mati Beti, you talk about community, land, and foundation. Jati Mati Beti. Jati Mati Beti to Tihar Logot Jorita, that will be associated with pathos element. We say logos, vikas and development, vikas purus. Okay, sabka saath, sabka vikas, that is a message that is related to logos element because it demands you to put facts, figures, right, some statistics, and hence rationality and how we reason out cause and effects relationship will always highlight. Pathos is all about your identity, your issues, identity issues, which is also related to existential issues that if leaders say that we understand your problem, your love for soil, and taking some actions. Okay, so that is also related to pathos. So it's appealing to emotions. Okay, so we are protecting your community, protecting the foundation, protecting the land. Even you say illegal immigrants, they're bringing the concept that is actually polarizing. Illegal immigrants, although that concept is being brought, that is very polarizing, but yet that is a pathos element he has created. Any kind of, you see, message related to identity politics is representing the pathos element. Then we have ethos element. Ethos is related to, again, you see, overall experience and also years of experience, which will help you to gain the credibility. So ethos element is there, which help you to get the legitimacy because you see this anti-corruption reformer, you have been exhibiting your, you see, elements, personal integrity, or that anti-corruption attitude throughout the years because you hate something, you want integrity in each and every aspect, you believe in procedure, you believe in ethical approach. So over the years it is being framed, and that will help you to give that credibility. And also you see, you are supporting a policy for low economic the people belonging to low economic background. You be because you also belong to that background, that also gives you credibility because of the ethos dimension. You belong to that background and you are supporting. You belong to a low economic background, you are supporting corporations. You want big corporation to come and take over the property and limited assets which are that are reserved for even the people at the bottom of the pyramid. You belong to, you once a person belonging to bottom of the pyramid, and now you see, once you have acquired assets, property, and wealth, now what you want corporation to come and take over it. So this is not related to ethos. Okay, ethos is based upon your years long experience, which will help you to frame an identity. So it is not like that your identity is something which is only based on class, caste. So you have elevated, you have also get that upward mobility. Okay, so by following that upward mobility, you have elevated your status, you have elevated your income, you have increased your income, you have elevated your status, you have elevated yourself in the class and caste ladder. But your sympathy and empathy from where you belong should not go diminished. If it goes diminished, then you say it is not something relatable. Okay, so it is also related to ascriptive identity or ethnicity. So you're thinking about ethnicity because you belong to that community, no? So you suppose you are from Boro community and you are thinking to get the plans project for Boro people. So because that is your community and you have been long years of struggle for getting the development done for the communities. Okay, that builds an ethos. If you are thinking for like development of like missing tribe, and this has been a year-long history which will define you, year-long history, year-long stay of yours in politics, that will define your stake in politics, your demands, and that could be legitimized. and that will define the ethos element. So in the process we have ethos, logos, pathos, and apart from that we also have other rhetoric related to, you see, the verbal. So these these are the elements of rhetoric. Okay, now you see, rhetoric is about talking, no, articulating. It is about your talking, it is about articulation, right? You articulating something, and articulating something in such a way that um, you can trigger the persuasive faculty of your audience, and you can prompt them to action. So that is rhetoric. If that is the rhetoric, then we also have to study the speech act theory. One is message. In speech also there are certain message, right? So you need to study both speech act and the message from rhetorical angle. Where is the placement of rhetoric, and agenda setting and framing. So what are the agendas? How you say, like the process type of the message? What is the focus of the message? And what is the ultimate message? Okay, so that's semantic. Again, the semantic and pragmatic intent. So semantic, which is conventional meaning. Pragmatic aspect, which is not literal all the time, but it is also metaphorical. Meaning is there in each and every message that you usually give, you deliver, you speak. There is a metaphorical intent. So in process type, we have that metaphorical intent, metaphor. So in metaphor, you equate one object with another, or two unsimilar objects are being equated. Like you say that you can also equate the injustice with darkness. So I'll remove all the darkness. That means I'll remove the evil spirit. We'll try to remove the evil spirit. Apahaktik ami remove korim. So that's a metaphor. So you were using it. Okay, you'll remove the injustice. So remove the darkness, remove injustice. That is metaphorical. And you were equating freedom with light. You were equating hope with something light and bright. Okay, so that metaphorical element is supposed to be there in the message. So it is there, although it is highly abstract, but we this is glittering generalities at the same time. What kind of hope you are saying, what kind of freedom you are saying. Okay, the glittering generalities, because it has got a very broader meaning. So you cannot narrow it down. Democracy, you cannot narrow it down, although we say that it is ruled by the people, for the people, of the people. But again, it is also very difficult to narrow it down, because there are different types of democracy. Okay, same way there are different types of bureaucracy also, different types of democracy. So these are some of the concept. You don't have to break it down in message, but you see, this is also a way, glittering generalities. It's a tool, political technique, propaganda technique also, you might say. So where your process type may be metaphorical, you use glittering generalities. Okay. Uh, Process type metaphorical, what you have used? Glittering generalities. And then we actually see uh, 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 the speech, metaphorical speech. You can give some examples. Okay, we will quickly go into. Then anaphora. Anaphora is also another process, and anaphora and repetitions. So many people confuse between anaphora and repetition, because repetition is more or less anaphora, but anaphora comes in the beginning. So just हम लोग बोलते हैं, we usually say that I we shall fight on the beaches, we shall fight on the grounds, we shall also fight across the field. Like that, we will repeat the same. We shall fight. We will overcome the poverty. We will overcome the injustice. We will overcome the trouble and the trauma that has sabotaged us over the years. So, as I have been repeating the same in the very beginning, that is called anaphora. But when you say repetition, repetition is something which is also related to, means I have a dream. Okay, I have a dream. You have a dream, and you would deserve to dream it, and we together we will make your dream a reality. That is a repetition. Okay, so that's what a kind of speech that you see, but dream word is being repeated, but it is not anaphora. Okay, so you see, you have your interest, and we all have our interest, and together we'll make our interest accomplished. Interest is repeated. Okay, so that is called repetition. So it is fine, it is a process type message. Okay, so here the focus of the message, what is will be the focus, the repetition, the focus of the anaphora, focus of the repetition, what it will be? It will be, you see, mm, verbal, what you say, and also emotions at the same time. Anaphora, repetition. So you need to find out the focus, whether it is verbal, it is emotions. You might also say it is existential at the same time. Existential, suppose if a politician says that illegal immigrants are threat to nation. Threat to nation, that is an existential problem, he's saying. Okay, it is equated to again the pathos element, emotion is targeted, and it is also reality. Emotion, but focus is also reality, existential, no? So it's a threat, and he has taken some action. The kind of action which he has taken is related to power. So that is the power dynamics of politics. Then power can be his influence, his authority, his way of manipulation, way of persuasion, coercion. Okay, so it can be of different types. So when we say power, and power is a very complicated concept. Okay, so it is not simply use of military force, use of coercion. Okay, it is also about the spaces where we are, about the interactions, about our roles, about our relationship. Okay, about even the procedural task that can also denote the power. Huh. Apart from the authority to rule and to be ruled. Okay, so the it is important, power dynamics is important. I thought of discussing about power, but then see that this is also important. Okay, that anaphora, repetition, antithesis is there. Antithesis, when two opposing ideas come together. Huh. Two contrasting ideas come together. Hmm. That also, that don't expect nation. I'll say this is a famous politician's quote, or often a response. Don't expect nation to work for you. You work for the nation. Again, another contrasting antithesis you can develop. You give us job, we will work for the nation. Okay. So you see, it is all about arguments. You can also say that that is an antithesis that politician will also make in their message. Hmm? You don't expect you don't expect an institution will work for you. You don't expect a nation will work for you. You don't expect a state will work for you. You work for the state. You work for the nation. You say you prove first, then you will get. So give us that opportunity so that we can prove ourselves. Right. So you see that could be counter act to antithesis. Antithesis is there in that message. Two contrasting ideas are there, getting a place. Okay. And there are exaggeration or hyperbole, which is always there in each and every political messages. Right. So you see, when you see that it is the most important uh, uh, election, or maybe in this history, or he is the most successful leaders over the year and in last 60, 70 years in Indian political history. So that will be exaggeration and hyperbole if claiming someone like that, because you are undermining the credibility of the past leaders, their activities. Okay, so that is one thing. And then we have also um, then rule of three, when we actually combine three ideas in one. Rule of three: I came, I saw, and I conquered. You also see, I can also say, I came, I saw, and I left. I came here, nobody was there in this class, and I left. Rule of three. Okay, so we in message also you can see the ideology, you can see the principles, you can see the policies that you were working on, you can see the problems that people are having in the locality, and based on that you can make a message, political message, using this type of process. And you can also message element. It has to have a focus. Focus may be existential reality. Focus may be simply authority. The saying it. That may be focus. Okay, he's saying. Focus may be emotion. Hmm. So focus may be logic, as I have already told you. It is maybe related to credibility. Okay. So these are some of the message and the process type. So which you will be doing. So message has to be short. It has to be contrasting. It has to be uh, framed in a way that it will appeal the emotion, right? And it has to build an image and perception about the that candidate, election candidate who is actually contesting the election. Now when you see image is also associated with authenticity. So in ethos logos pathos, in this element, in this process type, which is again a constituent of rhetoric, has to deal with the image and perception and authenticity of the politicians for whom you are framing the message, as well as the voters. Impact of the message on the voters, that is very essential to even analyze, and hence we will focus on the authenticity element. Authenticity will build upon the image. Okay, the image which is also framed through message over the years, how it is being crafted, and that is based on history, based on legacy, based on his past, based on his day-to-day interactions, based on his knowledge, based on popular wisdom. So there are different factors which will help you to understand the authenticity of politicians. If you talk about Himanta Biswa Sharma and his authenticity, if you see his past, he has switched from Congress to BJP. He is a political fighter. He has a perception. He could build a perception about political fighter because of his struggle. He carries out, or how he actually rose across politics through politics. Okay, so that's what makes him a very tough politician, and also his reactions. He's very you see pragmatic at the same time, and uh, he react to all the criticism, so that will make him very aggressive. He every time he is prompt to ready to respond back. Okay, so that's a different kind of personality trait which you will not get to find in Gaurav Gogoi. Unlike him, Gaurav Gogoi has also a history past, because he is a son of Tarun Gogoi. So become son of Tarun Gogoi, uh, he has a legacy. Legacy will contribute to stability, because there is also legacy of stability, legacy of development during Tarun Gogoi's era, which will also continue with him. But the fact here is that he is not relying on his legacy identity. He has created niche identity for himself. He is not relying on what the father has given him. So that is one. And second thing, that he has a past, he worked in international organizations. He also worked for public policy. So he has a good understanding about public policy, and that's why we could see him often debating about public policy. So he is a public policy expert. That is also an image that we have found. So he talked sense. So whenever he speaks something, so it is also something which is serious, and that's how he attained the intellectual credibility, which is not the case of Himanta Biswa Sharma. But he is a very strict administrator and responsive administrator. At the same time, he is very approachable. You say the way he responds back to audiences, the way he delivers the project, and also the way he respond to the criticisms. Okay, and he bring up the development. You see, that is also rhetoric again. Development is rhetoric. That is the logos dimension only. It is nothing else. We call it rhetoric. Okay, he has brought up that rhetoric, so made him a different person from Gaurav Gogoi. Okay, but you see that his style, communication style, is highly aggressive, unlike the communication style of Gaurav Gogoi, which is restrained a bit. So that what has made him moderate one. But here we see Himanta Biswa Sharma is very aggressive, assertive. Okay, and also some elements when in the last class we have discussed about two scholars, J.L. Austin and John Searle. Okay, J.L. Austin. So perhaps we have uh, mismatch with the scholars. You need to find out if you listen to my past lectures. So you will find that we have mentioned about Charlie. Charlie is actually a disciple of also J.L. Austin. And J.L. Austin come up with this three speech, locutionary, elocutionary, and parlocutionary, to understand the rhetoric, to understand the speeches of the politicians. So its speeches involve the rhetoric, right? These elements will be involved in its speeches. So he also said that there is a locutionary element which is related to utterance, elocutionary, which is about the the what is being uttered, the words that are being spoken. Okay, what is being uttered, that is elocutionary part, and parlocutionary is about the effects. But here there are also critique. They said that uh, it is more subjective at times, because when you talk about the elocutionary part, it is about what is being said, in what context it is being said. It is highly subjective, so there is no criteria to evaluate it objectively, and hence his disciple uh, John Searle has also made a categorical division of speech act. He said that in locutionary, parlocutionary, and elocutionary act, you can also find the assertive claims, declarative claims, commission, and also you see that directive as well as expressive articulations. So these are some of the division what he mentioned about. He mentioned about assertive claim. If you are talking about a simple speech of Himanta Biswa Sharma, he will also or any or Gaurav Gogoi or any politician simply speaking about schemes or any reality, what is happening, and announcing a schemes or about day-to-day politics, it might also sound assertive. Okay, but it is directive. If he has directed people to do something, that is a directive. You come and vote, you come and take the benefit of the schemes, that is actually directive. So from the speech you will find out. An activist, an environmental activist also give a directive. You come and take actions to protect the trees, protect the plants, protect the rivers, protect the environment. So that is directive. You come and come to protest, come to take part in protest, come to take part in vote. Okay, come and write a political piece, anything. Come and write a campaign, write campaign material. So that is related to directive. Okay, then declarative, declaring a war, which is also equated with authority, or declaring even the ceasefire. You're declaring ceasefire, declaring an agreement. Okay, this is also related to declarative element. Then you have expressive element, which is just pathos element, emotion of the message, which you will find in any speech act. Expressive element is always there. When you say that I understand your love for soil, I understand your situation. Okay, and there is also you see a commissive element when you make a promise. I'll promise you that we will make Jubin Khatra within 3 months if you win election. That is a promise. Okay. You will not vote us if we won't give justice to Zubin. That is also related to, you see, commissive and expressive. So it has got two messages, two elements. Speech act element, speech act elements. Okay, so Like that way, you are supposed to analyze the message, analyze the speech. So whatever we have discussed, no, all these elements are part of rhetoric. Even apart from this assertive element, what John Shirley and J.L. Austin has said. Okay, parlocutionary is something which has an effect on the audience. Whether that speech has really sway the audience in such a way that they come and take actions, they come, vote, they take part in political discourse, they join the party, or they also went somewhere to protest. So that is a parlocutionary part. So which you can study further, the subjectivities you can study further when you take the case of J.L. Austin. But in case of John Searle, you cannot uh, study the subjectivity element because it is more about speech. He always distinguishes speaker from the audience and viewers and listeners. So he has distinguished speakers from the listeners, viewers. And here in J.L. Austin, J.L. Austin did not distinguish speakers. He has simply giving what is being uttered. That could be from even audience part. Something is uttered because he's equated the effects of speech on voters, on the audience. That is a parlocutionary part. But here, Sarli's element help you to categorize and quantify what is being spoken. But speech is entirely the privilege of speaker. It has nothing to relate with the audience. So you will not be doing any kind of audience impact study, how the speech, how that message will impact on voter, impact on audience, impact on listeners, has nothing to do with Sarli's speech. Okay, understood? One is John Sarli and J.L. Austin. Okay, so you understood. Okay, this is important because this is something which will be important for first term also. Okay, and important for exams. So in last two classes, I have been discussing about campaign. How will you make a campaign? How will you make a message? And always be focused upon the contrasting element. You cannot bring development and even identity together, development and security together. So make a message contrasting. If one party has already hijacked the idea development because of the privilege of being in incumbency, so you can actually take up other message like justice. Development is there, but there is no social justice. Okay, so you can actually work on a welfare. So that's what opposition party is doing. So their plunk, their agendas are different from the ruling parties. Same time, if there is a development, there is no justice. Okay, they are focusing on the justice of the people, whether development is ethical or not. But it is not highlighted. It should be highlighted. So security is one element. So you're talking about the security. There is also war. There is security happen to be an issue for women. So when you are talking of overall development, empowerment, where is the security of the women? How women can be empowered when you are not giving equal facilities, opportunities to women? When many women are being discriminated, they're not getting promotions. They are being even bound to stay at home. You can also say women have equal say. But again, this again, you are not even promoting any gender-based courses in the university. And you are not going to take up any research and facilitate research on even see gender and women. So you don't want women question be highlighted, right? The way that Raghav Sadda has raised the issue on uh, that menstrual hygiene, right? He has raised that issue in menstrual hygiene about that page which should be available in each and every institution, each and every corner, especially in rural pockets. It's very important. So he said that this is not a women question. This is a framework. It is a mental framework. Okay, so we here in India we consider it as a taboo factor. We don't discuss about it, but this should not be a taboo factor. It is a taboo factor because of the framework. So it is a framework issue. It is not a women question even. So you need to educate man as well about this. So he has highlighted this a very important day-to-day issues, everyday issues that has already bothered us or made us suffer. So you see that that's how you could actually frame the message, and message could come from the very problem and challenges and struggle that people have been facing on day-to-day basis. Okay, so that is important. Anything else you'd like to ask? I thought of discussing about the power. The power is also very important. So, what are the factors you will consider while make a campaign message is important. Okay. So, how will you go and reach out to voters? That is important. How will you go reach out to voters? There are techniques to reach out to voters. After you make the message, you have a campaign plan. Okay, so you have a geographic and demographic divide. So you'll see who are your target audiences. So because you need to target your message to that audience. So in your speech, if you are actually targeting a political, that farmers, so you need to highlight about the policies for the farmers, their challenges, their problem. So you need to have a voter contact list. How will you contact the voters? That is important. Okay. Um, how will you reach out? These two things are important about geographic, demographic divide. How will you frame the message and how will you target the voters? These are important steps in campaign strategies. And in message, we have to deal with lot of things. It is more about framing. How will you frame the message? We have also discussed about propaganda and persuasion. So you understand the techniques of propaganda which are used in the message. This is also equated to ethos, logos, and pathos element. Ethos element, logos element is missing in propaganda. When we use a propaganda technique, logos element is missing because you cannot uh, back any facts with strong figures, statistics, etc. Because that is not a fact, and hence logos element is missing in propaganda. But pathos element is there and ethos element is there. But in persuasion, all three elements are there. Okay, so you also know about those 7 propaganda technique which I have discussed in class, and materials are also given in the classroom. You go through those 7 elements of propaganda which will help us to frame the message.